Welcome and hello and welcome and hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me on an extraordinarily special, life-changing edition of Un Poco Mas, the show where we give you just a little bit more. Of course, my name is Danny Deals. They've been known to call me Little Danny Cornbread DiCarlo anywhere I'm out near Las Vegas, Nevada, because I'm moist, doughy, and I crumble under pressure. They, in fact, call me the tugboat because I'm short in stature. I pull more than my own weight, and I'm rarely far from my home port. They call me Stubby Cohiba or Stubby Macanudo, depending on the day that I'm doing this bit, because I was once severely mangled in a manscaping accident using a vintage Vitamix blender. To all you kids at home watching the broadcast, definitely don't manscape with a blender. It's very, very dangerous, and it'll earn you the name Stubby Cohiba. Anyway, those intros are so stupid. Guys, it's Un Poco Mas. We're trying to give you a little bit more. The great Nautilurker is here, the great J Money, probably one of the most handsome bald men in the entire YouTube universe. Of course, we've got the great Eddie Martin is here. The great Eddie Martin looks like another beautiful bald man. I don't know why my audience is such a wealth of attractive, handsome, well-to-do bald men, but I'll take what I can get, guys. I love a bald man, I'll tell you. I've been known to run up and just kiss that beautiful bald head. I'm like, we're making money, you son of a bitch. I grab that side hair, a big kiss on their bald head for good luck. Why not? I love everybody, guys. I need sleep. That's the problem. If I could really localize my problems, Low Country Luton Pond, the man's a medical doctor or woman. I always assumed he was a man. I don't know why. But just kind of talk to somebody, you kind of get an idea. But anyway, so there's so much going on today, guys. I know there's a lot of fear out there. My biggest problems are not, my stocks going down, which of course they did, but it's just the exception being NIO, and then actually IOVA hung on to some gains. That stock should have gone up 20% on that Health Canada news. Very, very important news because it's one more domino to fall. It's not that Canada is the biggest market in the world for melanoma. It's a fairly decent sized market. And what's critical is they reimburse well. It's an advanced, wealthy healthcare system. So they give good reimbursement rates. I think it's even better than like Europe and UK and stuff. So people really want to get that Health Canada authorization. It's a coveted stamp of approval for a therapy or drug. Any young burgeoning biotech company would be thrilled to have the Health Canada stamp of approval, and that was just it's provisional, which is not a pun on Canada, but subject to further data. As long as it does what it says it's going to do, it's going to be approved. Anyway, wanted to run through a couple of charts. You guys know I am the Shartmaster. I got a fresh pair of chonies on, so we'll see what we can do. Got a couple of bottles of bleach at home. Now, these bits, guys, these bits are so tired. There's no wonder there's nobody watching this channel. It's absolutely terrible. Savage of Wall Street is probably here gloating because he's, selling covered calls into this dip, and he's just making tons of money. Probably up at a 5-star. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I want to say, of course, another big shout out to the best person in the world, in my world, the great Princess J. The beautiful, the talented, the beauty and the brains in our relationship. I happen to be the wild card. I bring the anxiety. I bring the angst. I bring the forgetting where my keys are. I bring the not being able to find my deodorant. I bring the getting lost in a parking structure. Bring a lot of intangibles. A lot of those intangibles are not good. Anyway, so I just want to go through and just give you my 2 cents on what's going on with some of these stocks I talk a lot about, because I know a lot of them dipped, and, there's a lot of fear out there, and people want to know, is support wiped out? Where can it go? Is the price action a real sell-off? Is it pure, algo? I wouldn't say manipulation, because let's face it, most of the market now is algos. Only, I think 20% of the market is human beings trading, or something around there. It might even be less. That was probably an old statistic. So you say it's algos. Of course it's algos, but is it algos, trying to make money? Is it algos, pre-programmed to go to a certain level? Is it algos pre-programmed to trade sideways and down in a range to accumulate? Is it algos trained to sell off for some other purpose, for some, back end of another, derivative trade or some crazy swap. There's all kinds of things that go on. They're just way above my pay grade. But to give you my 2 cents, I'm not saying this charting, this drawing these lines. I mean, it's so obvious, the ones because like I say, I chart like a caveman. I don't try to read too much into it. I just try to, look at what's in front of me and glean what I can. And technicals are useless without understanding fundamentals and without understanding the third pillar, which people just ignore, is mechanics. It's what are the shorts doing? What are the options doing? What is smart money doing? What shorts are flipping from short to long? I mean, I saw one of the greatest things I saw, guys, was if you look at SoFi, institutional ownership absolutely went through the roof this month. Jane Street, who's one of the biggest market makers out there, and they're known for being short, and I think they were shorting SoFi. They came in with a filing, and I'm sure everybody's talked about this. 65 million shares, SoFi purchased in the last quarter. So, very, very bullish. I know SoFi's down 6% today. Everybody's freaking out about that, but the smart money came in heavy, heavy, heavy on that run. And this SoFi goes up from here, period. All-time highs. Absolutely no question in my mind. Anthony Noto, SoFi is a force of nature. They've built a better mousetrap. The inertia is absolutely unstoppable. They're gathering up members. They're gathering up market share. That high fee-based revenue, it's just going to go through the roof. So with NIO, what happens? So it comes off of this 350 level, huge amount of volume comes in. I mean, and you see the volume, any days it's heavy volume is green. Then you see the algo latch on, trade the stock in this channel, this nice, neat little channel, trying to pull it back down. And it is to a certain extent. I mean, it is making lower highs and it is making lower lows to an extent, but what happens right here is it comes off the bottom and it just breaks out of this channel convincingly. And if you actually go back, this close here at 506 is actually the highest the stock has closed since all the way back here in March. So this is like a 5-6 month high in terms of closing, which is really what's important, because the way they trade this stock, there's so many like intraday pump and dumps, so many intraday shenanigans, so many initial, like they weather the initial pop. I mean, that's what they always do with NIO. That you see all this green stuff coming in here and then a few big red candles, but the preponderance of the evidence is green all day, and then a lot of buying coming in here at the end. I think this is accumulation. I think it's covering what are the shorts doing? There's still, 2.5 times the shares on loan than the short interest, which leads me to believe there's going to be a huge short attack, utilization 100%. This stock has been probably more fixated on by market makers, whether it be shorts or options people or, whoever's on this stock. And you can see it in the filings. It's not a secret, but they've made a ton of money, walking this stock down from 70 to 3. It's a hell of a walk down, it's a walk off. It's a walk off. Talk to your boy, Billy Zane. If you guys love Zoolander, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so where does this go from here? Well, if you think it's coming out of this channel and it can hold above 5, I mean, the sky is the limit. That's very cliche, but the fundamentals are lining up so nicely. I think CATL, the Chinese government, are going to push cars into the NIO swap network. I think the Envo L90 is going to put a tremendous amount of pressure on the competition. I don't think Li Auto, Xpeng, I don't think anybody can compete with the value proposition of the Envo L90 with that, especially with that 60 kilowatt pack. It's just so cheap. You're getting the price of almost an economy car for a car that feels like a luxury car and looks like a luxury car and drives like a luxury car. I think what NIO done, the NIO coming through with all these price cuts, aggressively they're moving into Uzbekistan. Okay, Costa Rica. Okay, fired up. Got a lot of NIO shares. Bought a lot down off the bottom. Not losing faith. Big Bill Lee. Big bad Bill Lee. Big bad buzz cut Bill Lee. He don't play. You don't mess around with a pale executive. Pretty pale for a Chinese guy. I don't really know. I don't really know the Chinese complexion. Like he doesn't sleep that much. Pain is real. Little Mike is here. What's up, Little Mike? Hey, Danny, cheers from Oz. NIO coming to ASEAN countries this year. Looking at you is like looking in the mirror. Curls rule. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it, man. And my apologies, sir. I know it hasn't been easy. Looking at me is like looking in a mirror. Your life has been a struggle. Maybe walk a mile in my moccasins. Your feet are probably going to hurt. Oh, you guys. Oh, you kill me. Anyway, so it's hard to say because there's definitely some natural resistance that forms at 5, but what's here is just a bunch of mess right in this area up until about 5:45. It's a bunch of bar coding, but if you can get through that, I think the next significant resistance is going to be somewhere here around 7.25, and it can go there awfully quickly. And like I said, I've said this many times, rallies don't end into increasing green volumes and big runs like this and higher highs and just tons of buying pressure, shorts trying to step on the stock. Shorts are returning a lot of shares from the short, so they don't want to be short. They don't want to pay these borrow fees. They don't want to short in the run, but there's still, there's still a lot of shares on loan, curiously. I think the shares on loan on these could be affected, something about the ADR structure. It might get counted twice or something. So I just might be completely, a complete Carolina hose hound, little one-eyed trouser snake. Oh, sorry guys. Doing a few things here, trying to keep up with the Joneses, as it were. El Curly. What's going on, Savage? Hope you're doing well. What's going on, Maria? How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, Arnie, SMCI. I'm gonna get to that one. Sorry, I've been kind of stuck on NIO. But there's this, me, guys. I'm a bit verbose. So let's take a look at SMCI since Arnie's here. Arnie's Army. Is this who is this? Arnold Palmer, Arnold Schwarzenegger, the great Dick Wolf is here. Or what? It's like Richard Ramirez. Was it some serial killer on Stock Twits or something? Man, Stephen Wolf has a lot of identities. But Hudson Capital sold all their shares after ER and turning malicious. Sold of what stock? Sorry, of NIO. Anyway, guys, let's take a look at Super Micro. Obviously, I think this just fell way too much on her. Like I said, I think this post-earnings drop was completely pre-programmed in, and there was absolutely no mystery to it. Stop people out right here at 55. And they're just keeping going. And you see this, I might have imagined this trend line that this is one of those teeter-totters that was gonna, they were gonna start a downtrend here no matter what at 53, and they just got sort of caught unawares by this breaking out of this wedge to the upside when I think they thought it was going to break, to the downside. It wasn't really a wedge. I don't know what the hell this is. Bunch of meaningless lines. But what's going to happen now? It does look weak. I will acknowledge that, but I think looks can be deceiving on this one. I don't think retail's selling here. I think you'd be a fool to sell this 0.8x this year's sales into a company with a pretty good balance sheet. I mean, it's about as pure an AI play, data center play as you're going to get. I just think this company is just completely, maligned with no justification. I know they had some accounting stuff, but it was really minor stuff. It wasn't like these guys were out here like trying to skirt all the laws and it's all a fraud. I mean, this is an incredible, incredible success story, this company, incredible growth story. I've never, ever seen in my life where they take a company that's doing like just over $1 billion or a couple billion, and then all of a sudden that company goes in almost no time, from doing like 3, then the next year they're doing 7, then the next year they're doing 15 billion, then the next year they did 22 billion, and then this year they say at least 33 billion. Usually, as a company gets this large this quickly, the growth will, slow down considerably. But the opposite has happened here. They're still saying at least 50% top line growth. And they're going to increase their, huge hyperscaler customers from 4 to 6 to 8 this year. So they already have those accounts. It's already locked up. They're just being extremely conservative with when they recognize revenues. There's revisions, there's changes, there's new products, new configurations, new servers, new cooling technologies, new densities coming out all the time. So of course there's going to be revisions, there's going to be changes. People want the best. It's extremely complex things. Again, way over my head, way over my pay grade. I was hoping we were going to, find some support here around the 44.5 level. Obviously, that went by the wayside and broke down today. This is just bad because it puts us back in this channel that we were caught in here from like May to, I don't know what that is, from May to, sorry, I got to scroll down, a couple months here basically. And then it wanted to be in this channel sort of way back here. So it was working in this channel several times. Now that if we bounce off this level and get back above this line, I think, as crazy as this sounds, I think the ER was better than many of us thought. What we didn't hear about was accounting irregularities, write-downs, audits, criminal charges, sanctions by the government. In fact, you have to believe, the Trump administration is really viewing SMCI quite favorably, considering the deal that was done with Saudi Arabia. The administration's very dialed in, like Kushner and the Saudis and the whole thing. So they really wouldn't have steered that deal to SMCI if it wasn't, on good terms with the administration. So I don't expect to see anything come of that. And that's what everybody was afraid. That's what the valuation was based on. Otherwise, how do you not pay something for this growth? To me, the valuation is just broken. The valuation doesn't make any sense. And the argument is margin pressure. Well, I mean, that's going to happen at the trailing edge of a product cycle. Everybody's talking about Blackwell, but they haven't been able to recognize any of those revenues yet, any of those higher margin revenues. And also they're discounting the building block solution they have, which I really should not be discounted that much. I just think this stock is one of those that's just completely controlled tick by tick. I think there's pump and dumps. And I think retail is basically a puppet on a string, and they're just, robbing us blind if we're willing to sell here. But you can see, it was trying to hold up above this line, trying to stay out of this channel, but today was just the last straw. Now, one of the things with these growth names is they're just all put into one basket. It was like, okay, I was watching a good video by Tanner earlier on, like, he was talking about Hood and, why it, it's not worried about the sell-off, and looking at the chart, how it came up to 60 and then sold off, really harshly during sort of the tariff thing, the big, beautiful tariff deal, whatever it was called. And then, but he was basically talking about patient long-term investors stayed in and then were rewarded because the stock, did behave like sort of the bull cases thought it was going to do, and ended up breaking over 100 and still, quite strong. So it's just making the argument for patient long-term investing and not panic selling at the bottom. And I'm not against taking profits if you took profits on that run, but a lot of times people just take profits way too soon. And if a company is, very innovative, leading a sector, growing rapidly, it probably isn't the time to sell, even if you think the stock is overheated. I mean, I guess if you can sell and buy back and time things, but it's very difficult to do. Market timing is, generally speaking, a fool's errand. You want to do that maybe with options, but not with your long-term, core position. So what do I expect this thing to do? I don't like the volume. I don't like closing that low. I don't like being back in this channel. I love this company, and I love, the really, really cheap valuation that just doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm a buyer of the stock here for sure, but it's hard for me to recommend it because it's just such an ugly setup right now. It's just, the trend is not your friend here. The trend is using your testicles for a speed bag, basically. It's like if you had a really, short boxer who hit really hard and you were just, I don't know, standing on 2 bar stools or something, just delivering a series of uppercuts to your apple bag. Be sort of what we're experiencing now here as SMCI longs, but I don't know. Do with that as you may. Is that Jimmy Chowat always says, take that as you see it, or I can't remember. It's one of his catchphrases. Oh, what's going on, guys? 35, yeah. SMCI is going to yeah, I mean, it could definitely go there, Savage. I mean, personally, I think if it breaks down below this channel, yeah, it would probably find some support here in the 37 area, but it could definitely go to 35. That's only here. I mean, it was just there. So it was just there, 3 months ago. So it's definitely not out of the realm of possibility. I don't know. I think this one's a Fugazi. On to CRISPR. This is some crazy, crazy price action just coming out of left field. I mean, I don't know. What made this company worth, I guess 30 a couple months ago and then 70, and it's just doubles and then it's back. I mean, the thing you'll note is that it found support here a couple days in July, and then it found support again here in early August. So they're banging it off of this 53 area. Now, where I would start to get worried is if this closed below, say, this $52.60 area and then just broke back down. This is kind of a no man's land through here down to about 51. But if it comes down below 51, especially just breaks through 50 and falls, I mean, I still think long term it just doesn't make any difference. I think that this company is an extremely compelling buyout candidate. I think they're going to make another big deal with another big pharma or another big deal with Vertex. I just don't see how you can discount their pipeline to this level where they have like almost $2 billion in net cash, and then the whole company and the whole pipeline they're saying is only worth $3 billion when Vertex valued the Casgevy program alone at $9 billion for the last equity stake they bought to go from 50% to 60% partnership in terms of that therapy. And that's really only for sickle cell and one other niche thing. So the cardio stuff and the in vivo stuff has got to be magnitudes more valuable. So this whole company it's just sort of throwing in the baby with the bathwater because some of these other companies that are in this space are much smaller. They don't have any approved therapies. They don't have any sources of revenue, and they're not well capitalized. So, you're facing an endless sort of round of spiral of dilution and debt and different stuff unless they were to get partnered or bought out, which is pretty unlikely because you can't negotiate good deals from a position of weakness. And that's why CRISPR is in such a favorable position, because they have a bunch of cash, they have a long runway, they have revenue, they have investment revenue. So, they're one of the only companies in this space that is very financially strong. So it's just a completely different ballgame. That's not to say the stock can't break down further, but the price action has been absolutely crazy. They've just made a giant middle finger pattern here, 3 pumps, giant gap here, which was obviously filled and then filled some more. But it looks like they're just banging our heads off of 50. Just, Joe Pesci style, putting our heads in a vice. What's going to happen? I don't know what's going to happen with any of these. I mean, what do you see, guys? Just in terms of the chart here, you see all the biggest candles. This is all green, and then it sells off in these fixed waterfalls. It just seems extremely artificial. I mean, look at the 1 day. Look at what you see. It just comes all the way down, and then you see just buying. You see most of the candles through this area are green. You see all the bigger candles through here are green. So, in my mind, they're just trying to accumulate and cover their short positions as low as possible. They're not actually planning to dump this stock back down to the 30s, really, because the valuation, it just doesn't make any sense. When you look at how when Vertex, their last drug failed, this CRISPR by definition became more valuable. Vertex needs CRISPR more than ever. They need their pipeline. So does everybody else. These big traditional pharma companies are dinosaurs, and they see the future, and the future is CRISPR, and CRISPR is ahead in CRISPR. And they're also ahead they're not necessarily ahead in vivo, but they have a pipeline in ex vivo. They have revenues in vivo that will support them getting the finish line in vivo. And you don't know if anybody else can get there. Maybe they'll get bought out, but they're not going to get bought out at good terms if they're about to go bankrupt. That's just my opinion. So what's CRISPR going to do? Once again, I have absolutely no idea. Sorry, guy. I mean, that's just the honest truth, because I don't know what the market's going to do tomorrow. Trump could say one thing and send the markets to the moon. You'd say, oh, no more tariffs, whatever. It's just, anything can happen. I'm not a market maker. I can't tell you when things are going to go. I can tell you what I think is undervalued and what I would personally buy, what I am buying, what I'm doing, but I can't tell you which way the market's going to go. But in terms of SoFi, I really think this is still in the channel. Like I said, I didn't move any of this. This is the same thing I had the other day. But this still looks pretty good to me in terms of hanging on to support. I think, let's look at the 1 day and just see, was this sort of organic? This was just really algo controlled all day, tons and tons of little dips. You see, again, a lot of accumulation. Like, you don't see at the end of the day bunch of buying coming in all day, a lot of green. There is some selling, but gaps up. Look at the buying, in terms of the post market or pre market, I'm sorry, and then it just sells off in this very controlled BS manner, and then you see more and more buying coming in. So I don't really necessarily buy any of that. I'd really follow the smart money, follow Jane Street, follow Vanguard, follow BlackRock. Who's adding, who's dumping. BlackRock added, their filing was on the 12th. They added 2.79%. I don't think Vanguard is necessarily out yet, but Jane Street, this is obviously the filing for their options position. So they also have calls, a lot of calls. And I'm sure they have puts as well, but it looks like they're probably getting out of their puts. UBS increasing their calls by, let's see, 91%. Who else is interesting in here? Square Point of Woolridge. I don't know who that is. And there's this other filing from Jane Street. They're all over the stock. So their put, they also increased their put. So they're still playing their little game there. But Two Sigmas, they decreased their position. Let's see, Mitsubishi, JP Morgan. Be interesting to see. JP Morgan increased their SoFi position by 10%. So that's a really good sign. In terms of the SoFi chart, these charts are so goofy because, what does it really tell you? I mean, I said I think the stock is going to all-time highs. The fact that it's sitting in this channel and it's banging off of this level, if you notice, this has been the low, repeatedly around this level. This candle, this candle, this candle, again here. So this isn't a new thing. Really, I don't see this as a negative. I see this basically establishing support here above $22.50 in the short term and establishing support here along this line, which is going up. So that's a good thing, especially, to maintain, in my mind, to maintain close above that trend line on a day that was so bloody for these stocks. Now, it matters so much. The initial, to me, Hood was already a little overvalued, and I think SoFi is still a little bit undervalued in terms of, what they're worth on their fundamentals. But a lot of people would disagree with me on that because Hood is obviously, crushing it and doing very, very well and making money, which he is undeniable. I'm not trying to hate on the stock, but I'm not a buyer at these levels. I would certainly be very comfortable buying SoFi at these levels, just because I think the growth is more durable in all markets. I think it's a much better diversified company. I think it has much more staying power. And I just think the quality of the companies for the long term is just not even on the same level. I think Anthony Noto's building SoFi's house out of bricks, and I don't think the pigs are going to be able to push it over. Now, I think Robinhood is an incredibly good company, and they're, scaling and doing all kinds of things internationally. But I also think they're much, much more susceptible to the concentration and the Lambros, the traders. I think when things go off, if there's any problem with crypto, I think it's going to, hit their business a lot harder than it's going to hit SoFi, who I think is their business is designed to do well in terms of in all markets. And they're, like I said, SoFi savers versus Robinhood traders. There's nothing wrong with Robinhood. I just, for my long-term, money, I'd rather have it in SoFi, especially given the entry points we see. If you look at the Robinhood charts, just an astronomical run. I mean, that stock came off like 8 and went to 100 lickety split. So, I mean, hell of a run. Congratulations if you got in on it. I mean, it's amazing. In terms of IOVA, like, I don't know what the hell's going on with this stock. Like, gets Canadian approval, shoots all the way up, I think, in the pre-market to like $3.20 or something. I can't even remember. Let's see what it did. Can only see the after hours action here. But yeah, so it shoots all the way up to like 3.25. And then let's see, HC Wainwright reiterates a buy at $20, and then the algo just takes it all the way exactly back down to where it's been sort of trading sideways for the last 5 days. So I've never seen, stocks like this. Is a new era of like controlling price action, this degree of specificity. And of course, you'd expect to see, more shares traded, but they just did everything, they just did everything in the pre-market, and you can see it's just a giant pump and dump in the pre-market, just drawing in, exuberance here and whatever else here. And they obviously just don't care about these ratings because Wells Fargo said they just downgraded to $14. And nobody cares. With prop, I don't know. This is just very controlled price action. It's trading downward today at like a 45-degree angle. This is just, absolutely bloody. But you can see it trades up at the same angle and then it falls off a cliff. It trades up at the same angle. It does this over and over again. Here. This is like once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. And then this is just, but it's just getting bloodier and bloodier. It's just getting absolutely violent through here. Why? Why did it fall so much today? I really don't know. Maybe somebody else. I really haven't had a chance to look super closely at a lot of this stuff, but I know it was downgraded by, who was it? Who downgraded the stock today? I can't remember. It's one of the sort of mid-tier shitty analysts. How's Piper Sandler? No, it wasn't Piper Sandler. Yeah, it was Piper Sandler. So they're downgrading everybody, but they downgraded from 9 to 3, which is pretty ugly. But the if you just look purely at the EPS numbers, it looks like a huge miss. But with this one, I think it's resource extraction and there was a delay. So ultimately, I think they are going to get all those resources out of the ground and those are going to be returned to the shareholders in terms of dividends. The fact that it's delayed a few months and, it doesn't bother me so much. What bothers me is the prospect of, a lot of dilution. What bothers me is management selling us out if that were to happen. But so far, I think there's, as particularly the guy who has like 30 years experience running these companies has an extremely good track record of growing these companies and doing very, very well, selling off the companies. And I think a couple of them have had to reorganize and restructure, AKA, bankruptcy, etc. But, nobody's perfect. Certainly not old Danny, not old cornbread. Oh, like a good cheeseburger, I'll tell you that. I'm portly. Certainly not perfect. Not throwing any stones. I wish I had a glass house. Living in a dumpster on days like this. Morgan Stanley downgraded FEMSA. Oh no. Oh no, I'm going to have to sell off all my FEMSA. Whatever will I do? Anyway, shows a big turd. What else is I going to look at? Palantir. This is extremely similar to exactly what this stock did in February. It made this huge gap up and then continued to run, and then it just sold off like a waterfall, but then it got support as it broke down below this line a few times, then it regained the trend line. Scarily, I think that might be what happens here. I think this might gain support. Where is it going to find support? Let's say it's going to find support about 130. I think it's going to stop going down about 130 and it's just going to keep going back up. That's my opinion. But I think it's going to be a real washout here. I don't know. I mean, I know Andrew Left is shorting the stock, and he says the stocks, if it was 40, it would be overvalued. I'm just trying to find out from some of the Palantir bulls. It's like, how can you look at these multiples and think anybody should be still buying the stock at these levels? I mean, the multiples are just crazy. But if the stock's completely going to change the world and take over, but I don't even see it as that kind of stock. I mean, it's getting multiples that are better than anything NVIDIA ever got. I mean, PE ratio 525. The forward sales multiples, it's just crazy. It's just crazy. I've never seen multiples like this. I don't think anybody ever has. It's a pretty harsh sell-off, though. Go more after, so that's $20 bill right out the window just today on Palantir. Thank God I sold all my shares at 18. Oh God, I still have a couple of shares. Oh, I'm a big fat asshole though. So what are you gonna do? You know. So anybody else got anything to say? I will, Gilgo. Thanks, buddy. So tired. Been weeks since I've slept. I'm aging so poorly. My crow's feet tell the tale. Oh, got to get out from the computer, out from behind the desk. I'm going to die here, guys. Fat. I have a massive infarction. Ugh. I hate everything. Oh, it's not a lurker. I like not a lurker. Yeah, no, I'm done with cheeseburgers, man. I had an epiphany. Breakfast at Epiphanies. Yeah, I'm basically going to... Sorry, there's like kids screaming outside. I don't know what's going on. I think it's a street gang. I wish I had a mini water. 188 average. You know, honest to God, I think in time it's going to just keep going up because I think the company is going to crush it. But I can't buy at this valuation. I don't think it's going to go down to 40 or anything. But I think it might go down to 130 and then keep going back up. Probably go back up to all-time highs. But if you look, this is really, you know, this is serious algo working here. This is a step down. You know, if you see this was trading sideways here, like 158 for, you know, 3 weeks, little dip here, but then strict pump and dump. Looks like an igloo. It's really nice pump and dump. Filled the gap. Obviously, there's a gap here. 170. Filled the gap. Didn't expect to fill that gap all in one day. But there you have it. Oof. Yeah, dude. Yeah, the rug man is coming in. Savage. I've been telling people for a while. Yeah, Jarrett, one share. That's chill though. Yeah, it's nice to be able to say you own one share of Palantir. I have a couple shares, but not very many. What's up, Alfredo? Love your sauce. It's making me fat. Let's see who else is here. The Great Dick Wolf is here. Of course, guy never leaves me alone. The Great Keen's Tam is here. Obviously, Kins, I don't know how to pronounce your name, Senor Tam, but good to see you. Active in the comments. Good in Poco Moss viewer. We got the Great Wasir Zaman. What's going on? Greetings and salutations. Welcome and hello and welcome. Got soon Poco Moss. Welcome Wazir. Hello and welcome. I got losses up to wazoo, but at least Wazir is here, so that's a good thing. It is the broader market effect. Like Webull going to 50. Everybody's talking about Webull. Definitely kind of a darling stock. Nothing like United Health. Everybody's talking about United Health, the outlier guy, financial education. Everybody's buying Warren Buffett. Everybody loves United Health. I don't know. I haven't looked at it closely enough. I know it has been on a walk down. Everybody's saying there's a turnaround. The rates are going to go up. They're going to make more profits, all baked in. Yeah, it was completely algo driven down today. I love Jimmy Chitwood. When that synthesizer comes on to signify his show, I just get violent. Trending stocks. And whenever I hear the trending stock synthesizer come on, that show start, I punch the first person I see. I don't care who it is. Let's see, guys. Ken bought in at CRISPR at the end of the day. I think you're going to be pretty happy with that position over time, Ken. Let's see. BLSH, I don't know, guys. Sold 65 cash for put. Savage is working the options as usual. XBI short price action. I'm too stupid to understand. I know that. The great Dom Lowski. All you need is SoFi. I completely agree. If you just loaded SoFi at the lows and did nothing else, just held your shares, 4x your money, doing extremely well. But then again, people in Hood 10x their money, people in Palantir 20x their money. So it's not as simple as the thing you don't want to do is keep moving in and out of stocks, because you tend to miss the runs and you tend to, buy after the runs and you tend to sell. You're better off, in my opinion, when Tanner was saying the same thing, you just hold it, diversify the picks, get a basket of stocks and then just hold. And then you're going to see that upward and to the right movement. You're going to participate in the upside because you're not timing the market, which is the whole point of long-term investing. Like I said, I like to time calls. I don't like to try to time, my long positions. So, because I used to try to do that, move in and out. You end up like washing shares. You end up timing it wrong. You just end up losing more than you gain in most cases. At least that's my opinion. Perhaps you have better timing than I do. I don't doubt it. It wouldn't be it's a pretty low bar. Let's see. Sean Markey contracting, the grilled chicken diet. Don't I wish? Why would CRISPR break 52 price a month ago? Josh, there's no reason. The mechanics are shorting the stock. They're controlling the price action. The fundamentals, the results, there's been nothing bad coming out. That I think the stock should be, well over $100. Well over $100, given the value of their pipeline. I mean, and the fact that they have runway, and the fact that they have cash, the fact they have the partnership, and the fact that Vertex needs CRISPR more than CRISPR needs Vertex, in my opinion. The legacy businesses are just not going to survive without these new therapies, without these new companies, without these, all this genetic engineering. I mean, Justin, I don't know if he's going to try to give the middle finger, but inflation numbers come in hot. Like, I don't see how you lower interest rates. It's such a weird thing because people right now, since COVID, they're just like, fuck it. They're just going to spend anyway. Like, people don't care. People don't care if their savings rate is negative. They have nothing in the bank. I mean, you guys with like your big fat trading accounts, you guys are in the minority. Like, most people have negative savings. They're drowning in credit card debt. They can't pay their bills. You have auto repossessions going through the roof. Car prices dropping. Yeah, if you're making money in Bitcoin and you have a mansion in Miami and stuff, you don't really care. They salute Don Corleo. $1 million cash is only financing. He's good with a knife, but only in matters of business. Tom Hagen. Found him on the street, took him in. That's how you end up with an Irish consigliere. What do you say? I'm Irish. He's like, well, I'm German Irish. Like, well, my Kraut Mick friend. Oh man, it's another time. End up with talk to Tom Hagen that way. You end up with a horse's head. Your nice white satin sheets. I'll tell you another thing. He never gets that rule. Yeah, Rugman definitely does not like. Are you Rugman Savage? Is that what we're getting at? Nice, man. Let's go. All right, Savage. Have a good one, buddy. Savage. No cuts this year. Yeah. That haircut is, what is that? Nice. Fire turd. Yeah. Sean, the vertical takeoff, it's going to be the wave of the future. I mean, I'm a drone guy. I love drones. I mean, they're just big drones. I mean, they're safe. You get 4 motors on them, however many motors, you got 8 motors. I mean, I think if they're smart enough and they can avoid, I just think it's unavoidable. It's moving in that direction. I mean, we all saw the Jetsons. We all thought it was going to be here by now. We've been promised flying cars for years. But I don't think flying cars like fixed wing, like planes or like above you, like a helicopter that requires all that drones, it just takes all the, guesswork out. You don't need any skill. Like I fly a drone with a remote control. You don't really need much skill. You need a little bit of practice, but I would guess these are going to be totally automated. I think it's going to take off. It's going to be huge. It's going to be bigger than EV. It's going to be, it's going to be a huge, but I think it's going to take a lot of time to mature. Society, China is moving very, very quickly, but I think like Europe, US, everything's going to move a little bit slower. You have to see. I mean, it's just a lot of it depends on what does Trump want to do. That's basically what government policy comes down to right now. Like things can change very, very quickly. You could say, okay, I want us to be the, vertical takeoff capital of the world. I want to lead this industry, and all of a sudden regulations and all that there could be a bunch of stuff, coming online. You could see these things in the sky in your neighborhood this year. I mean, the technology's there. It's just a question of testing, regulation, licensure. How would the insurance work? How does it all play in with the FAA, airspace? It's just a lot of, logistical nightmare in terms of all these things, crowding up the skies. But anyway. Oh, Jerome Powell's rug, man. I see. A little slow on the uptake. Yeah, the chart really brings the room together. Does it not? Fucking A. Pete on your rug. I still really like prop. Now, I don't know why I'm on. I think I was accidentally on Palo Alto. I was actually on something else. Yeah, I mean the 20% drop, I didn't like that, but I don't know. I don't buy this price action. I mean, that said, I mean it's real. Anybody can buy down here, and they're not. So our insiders buying. I'd love to see some big insider buys. They already own half the company. Obviously, I'd like to see institutions buy. They were buying much, much higher than this. I have to believe this is mechanics with a point to make. You see, it was not dissimilar from this move where it went from, 4 all the way down to 275, and then it went from 425 all the way down to 3. And then this one's going from 365 so far all the way down to 215. So it's even more extreme move, and it's a much more violent move. Gaps down here, huge red. You see it does this twice. Red candle, gap down, huge red candle. Bit of consolidation, red candle, gap down, huge red candle. It's not as much of a gap. It's scary. I mean, it's scary. I actually bought more today when it was down about 19% or something. But it's scaring the hell out of me. I thought production EPS was going to be a little bit better. I think management was pretty forthright in the sense that there were delays. You have to remember they just, made a huge acquisition. And quite frankly, I think the transition is going a lot better than most people in this industry expected. There are hiccups when, you take over a major asset. I think they'll extract the resources, but, the market is fickle. The mob is fickle. They want to see a thumbs down, somebody get impaled by Joaquin Phoenix. That turd. Cassius. What was his name? I can't remember. Trying to do bad stuff with his sister. My average down was down 15%. I have more shares than I want to own, but we'll hold. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Wake up call. I mean, I didn't want to buy more prop today, but I couldn't. I thought it was undervalued already, and then it dropped 20%, and that tickled my buying bone. What can I tell you? Something tickled my bone. I don't know, Anthony. I don't even want to get out of bed. No, I'm going to buy stocks. I always buy stocks. I'm always buying it. I'm always invested. Now I try to keep cash on the sideline for moments like these. I also have, lines of credit, margin. Things get crazy, but I also don't want to try to catch a falling knife. Like, I want to try to see, let's find some support, like a stock like Prop. I mean, today was as ugly as it gets. Big drop, big volume, and then it fell more at the end of the day. It was like you thought you were kind of coming up here, and then all of a sudden they just crush it again. But look like they want to buy. I mean, smart money, like I said, they were buying so much higher. It's just curious, like, why they're letting it go down this low. Like, why don't they step in, put a floor under it? Well, obviously they don't want to. There's a fair amount of retail investors still in the stocks, probably, even given the insiders and institutions, probably still 25 to 30%, retail ownership, and they want you to dump at 2. Leave with a black eye. Kidney punch, rabbit punch, aluminum baseball bat to the back of the head type of situation. That's what market makers think of retail investors. 36K shares. Keen's Tam. What's your story, bro? You're new here. I like you. You have a good avatar. Big forehead. You look smart. Look successful. Like you run your own company. Looks like you own a series of restaurants and nightclubs, perhaps a bunch of auto detailing businesses. Yeah, Anthony, I'm not trying to like rush in and buy every dip. I want to buy the dip, but I want to buy the bottom of the dip. I don't want to buy the first day of a 4-day dip, because you end up running out of chips. Got a big bowl of dip and no chips. Everybody brought dip to the party, and everybody forgot to save any money to buy that bottom. And then what happens? Market makers buy the bottom, and your ass out of luck because you're a weak sauce turd. Keen's Tam runs a company for a partner. That's what I do too. Yep. The smart guy with the money makes me do everything. Now I'm very happy. Very happy with my job. Very happy I have a job. Yeah, you look like a boss, Keynes. I like it. Probably fired somebody today. Like, come in my office. Well, why, Mr. Tam? Because you're fucking fired. Anyway, guys, I don't know what the point of this show is going to be. I'm still fat. I'm a little bit poorer than I started the day. I would like to say I'm rich in spirit, but I'm really not. I'm broken. I'm defeated. I can't eat any junk food, which is one of my few joys. Only thing I love is Princess J. I hate you guys. That's for damn sure. Oh, the fuck is going on here? Okay, guys, I got to get the hell out of here. I hate you guys. I'm so sick of this show. It's Un Poco Mas. Would like to thank the great Naughty Lurker. I'd like to thank the great German pound cake. I think I did German. I got to go. I got to pee. I got to be honest. I can only hold my pee. I drink tea all day. I stopped drinking coffee. I can only hold my pee maximum 1 hour. Then I'm done. I love you guys. No, I don't. Peace.